But with no parents, you chose to live alone. Just when you thought nothing would ever disrupt your life again, a chart-topping diva showed up at your door carrying a 3.5-year-old girl. She claimed this was the child you had together. In a modest, old-fashioned living room, you contentively picked up a freshly prepared cup of braised beef noodles, ready to take a sip of broth. Then hurried, weak knocking suddenly came from the door. You furrowed your brow slightly, then set down your chopsticks. Shuffling in flip-flops, you headed for the entryway. The old wooden door creaked open. A gale, laced with icy rain, rushed inside. You instinctively narrowed your eyes, making out the scene outside by the dim motion sensor light. It was a woman in a wretched state. Rainwater streamed endlessly from her chin, but she had no thought for herself. She fiercely shielded the small bundle in her arms, using her body as a wall against the rain. Her hands were blue-purple with cold, her knuckles white from gripping to hard. Your pupils constricted slightly. Though her face was pale as paper, you recognized her at once. Yurou, the aloof songstress who had swept Asia 4 years ago. The name that, at this very moment, stood at the center of a media firestorm. How did you? Before you could finish asking, Yurou looked up, revealing eyes heavy with exhaustion and a trace of pleading. Save her. Her voice was hoarse and broken, shaking with tears. Please, save my child. You swiftly took the child. Her body was shockingly hot to the touch. You looked down. A tiny face, flushed bright red with fever, met your eyes. She was a little girl, around 3 or 4 years old. Her lashes were long, beaded with tears. Her ragged breaths came like a broken bellows. In that instant, your heart clenched sharply. A strange current, unlike anything you had ever felt, shot through your soul from that burning little body. It was the shudder of a blood bond. No test was needed. As a transmigrator, as one who carried memories of 2 lifetimes, the moment you touched her, you knew one thing for certain. She was your own flesh and blood. Or rather, she was your only blood relative in this parallel world. Damn it, you cursed inwardly. The lazy, carefree mask you usually wore shattered instantly. You scooped Yurou and her daughter into your arms, then strode back inside. You laid Yurou on the living room sofa, with unbelievable gentleness, as if the slightest force might break these two porcelain dolls. Though Yurou was barely conscious, she clung tightly to your sleeve, her nails nearly digging into your flesh. No hospital. They'll photograph us. You looked at her face, etched with fear, and your gaze instantly turned cold. Her child had a fever this severe, yet she did not dare go to a hospital. At that moment, the entertainment headlines from recent days flashed through your mind. Diva's scandalous private life, secret daughter exposed. Yurou faces an astronomical penalty for breach of contract and possible blacklisting. It seemed, those were not rumors. Don't worry, as long as I'm here, no one will photograph you. Your voice was low, carrying an undeniable, reassuring force. You took a deep breath, pulled out the old Nokia phone you only ever used for games, and dialed an encrypted number. Boss, you finally remembered you own a conglomerate. A surprised voice came through the phone, elderly and lightly teasing. Your voice was icy, yet it contained the restraint of a volcano about to erupt. Old Chen, I need a medical team now. Pediatric specialist, the very best. You have 10 minutes. Boss, that may be 5 minutes. You looked at your daughter's pained little face. Your tone was glacial. Bring all the equipment. And do not come in flashy luxury cars. Pose as a community medical outreach team. If even a word gets out, fire everyone on the board. Old Chen immediately understood how serious this was. All trace of teasing vanished from his voice. Understood. The Tianqi medical team is leaving immediately. Your location has been locked in. You ended the call. You casually tossed the phone onto the coffee table. It landed beside the unfinished cup of noodles. You lowered your head, gently pressing your forehead to the little girl's burning one. Don't be afraid. Daddy's here. There were no shrieking sirens, nor any over-the-top roar of helicopters. Under the cover of that rainy night, 3 utterly inconspicuous gray vans silently pulled up at the entrance to Wutong Alley. If anyone looked closely, they would find the vans had run-flat tires, bulletproof windows, and even specially modified undercarriages. A group wearing blue vest marked community care carried several heavy silver cases and rushed through the rain into the courtyard. An elderly man with snowy white hair led them. He was one of the world's foremost pediatricians and the chief consultant of your private medical team. He once treated only royalty. Be gentle. You stood in the center of the living room, still holding the child in your arms, like a guardian deity. After the old man entered, his eyes swept over the shabby sofa, and the corner of his mouth twitched. But when he saw the child in your arms, his expression instantly became professional and grave. Boss, leave her to me. There was no wasted conversation. The living room instantly became a makeshift, world-class intensive care unit. Every kind of advanced portable device was deployed. Blood samples were drawn. Tests were run at once. Cooling measures began. An intravenous drip was started. Everything proceeded silently and with perfect order. You leaned against the wall, arms folded across your chest, your eyes fixed on the doctors at work. That stare seemed to say, if anyone's hand so much as trembled, they would pay with their life. Just then, a faint groan came from the other side of the sofa. Lin Yurou woke up. She abruptly sat up, her terrified eyes darting everywhere. Yumo. Where is Yumo? She's all right. You handed her a cup of warm water. Lin Yurou shuddered all over. When she looked up and saw your calm face, her tightly wound nerves eased slightly. She turned her head and looked at the community doctors in blue vest, busy around her daughter. They are. Without changing expression, you lied. Volunteers from the neighborhood clinic next door. They happen to be sheltering from the rain nearby, so I called them in. That old man is a retired traditional medicine doctor. He's quite skilled. Even the chief physician, as he inserted Yumo's fore, trembled slightly. He nearly missed the vein. A traditional medicine doctor? Retired? Lin Yurou knew nothing about medicine, and she was physically and emotionally exhausted, so she did not think much of it. She merely nodded gratefully, tears welling up again. Thank you. If it weren't for you, I truly wouldn't know what to do. You looked at her, and your thoughts flew back to that night 4 years ago. You had been dead drunk at a bar, while Lin Yurou had been drugged by a rival. That night, you had simply surrendered to raw instinct, without seeing each other's faces clearly. Afterward, you kept searching for that woman, but she had vanished without a trace, even erasing every surveillance record. Thinking back on it now, along with the blood-deep connection you felt with Yumo, you understood everything at once. What you had not expected was that one night had resulted in a child, and Lin Yurou had raised her daughter alone. Coming back to yourself, you asked in a low voice, Why? Why didn't you come find me sooner? Lin Yurou's hands froze around the cup, her eyes filled with confusion. Find you? Who are you? Realization hit you at once. Of course, neither of you had seen the other's face clearly then. How could either of you know who the other was? You were about to explain, when the old traditional medicine doctor walked over. Seeing your signal, he played along perfectly. Young man, the child is all right now. It was a high fever caused by acute pneumonia. Luckily, it was treated in time. Another half hour, and the fever could have damaged her brain. Her fever has gone down now. She only needs a few days of rest. Hearing this, Lin Yurou went limp, nearly collapsing again. She kept whispering her thanks. However, the old doctor paused, then took out a report. He gave you a complicated look, then handed it to Lin Yurou. While testing her blood, we also ran a genetic comparison screen to check for possible allergens. It may be overstepping, but according to the results, Lin Yurou went still. She took the report. She could not understand the dense rows of data, but the final line struck her like a bolt of lightning. Test results. The biological parent-child relationship between Lin Yumo and Feng has a probability of 99.99%. Of course, this was not merely an extra test. It was an absolute order you had secretly given moments ago. This single paternity test was worth more than 1,000 explanations later. Lin Yurou's hands shook violently as she held the report. She suddenly looked up at you, her eyes full of disbelief. You're that man. For 4 years, she had imagined that man's appearance countless times. Maybe he was a bald, wealthy businessman. Maybe he was some sleazy director. But never had she imagined. You shrugged, trying to look both innocent and responsible. I'm surprised too, but that night, it really was me. I'm sorry you had to suffer. The air froze for several seconds. Lin Yurou bit her lip and stared at you intently, as if assessing how dangerous this man was. Just then, little Yumo stirred on the sofa. In a voice as thin as a thread, she whispered, Mommy. At her cry, Lin Yurou immediately dropped the report and rushed to her daughter's side. You watched the paternity report drift to the floor, a faint smile lifting the corner of your mouth. Step 1. Confirming the relationship complete. After the medical team left, only your little family of 3 remained in the house. The rain was still falling, but inside the house, the atmosphere had subtly changed. Yumo had fallen asleep after drinking some water. Her little face, once flushed red, had returned to normal. Yurou, meanwhile, grew uncomfortable. She stood and awkwardly felt through her pockets. How much was the doctor's fee? I'll pay you back. You sat in the high-backed armchair, picked up the bowl of soggy noodles again, and took a bite without a care. The medical bill. That old doctor charges quite a lot. Yurou's face turned pale. How much? About this much. You held up one finger. 10,000? Yurou let out a breath of relief. If she borrowed enough, she could still scrape together that amount. No. 100 million. What? Yurou's eyes widened. Are you joking? What doctor charges 100 million? You set down your chopsticks, your expression utterly serious. That doctor said, this child's life is priceless. And since it is priceless, charging 100 million is not unreasonable, right? Still, you changed your tone, looking at Yurou's angry, helpless face. A flicker of mischief flashed in your eyes. You're broke, and your company has blacklisted you. You cannot keep wandering the streets with a child. How about this? I'm not exactly a good man either. We'll put this debt on the books for now. You pointed toward the empty room upstairs. The second floor is empty. Until you figure out how to repay that 100 million. Or until you can protect Yumo from those paparazzi. Stay here. Yurou was stunned. She looked at you, trying to read your motives from your face. But your gaze was clear, even carrying a hint of distaste, as though feeding to more mouths was a real nuisance. She turned to look at her sleeping daughter, then thought of the people outside, the media and companies waiting to profit from others' suffering. Right now, she truly had nowhere else to go. Yurou clenched her teeth, and that cool, stubborn resolve returned to her eyes. But I will not stay here for free. I can cook. I can clean. I will repay the money. Principal and interest. You smiled to yourself. Deal. Over the next 2 days, your little courtyard felt a little more alive. Or rather, there was a new, tense heaviness in the air. Though Yurou had moved in, she remained on high alert at all times. Like an injured hedgehog, she moved cautiously through your territory, trying not to make a sound. She kept the second floor spotless, and got up early each day to make you breakfast. Though it was only plain rice porridge and pickled vegetables, it tasted surprisingly good. Yumo's fever broke, and she was much more energetic. Though the little girl was only 3.5, she was so sensible it broke your heart. She seemed to know her mother was unhappy, and never fussed or cried. She only sometimes hid quietly by the stairs, using those big eyes so much like yours, to curiously study the man she called Daddy. You did not rush to claim her as your daughter. You knew that, for this mother and daughter, trust was a luxury. You were waiting for an opportunity. That opportunity came on the third night. After dinner that evening, Yurou received a phone call. Though she hid on the second floor balcony, and tightly shut the doors and windows, with your enhanced hearing, you could still hear every word clearly. Mr. Zhao, I'll find a way to pay the penalty fee. Please stop harassing my family. What? I never signed that contract. You forged it. Drink with clients. Never. I'd rather die than do it. You're driving me to my death. The person on the other end seemed to say something truly vile. Yurou's voice shifted from anger to trembling. In the end, only helpless sobs remained. Downstairs, you sat on the sofa, holding an introduction to quantum mechanics. But you had not turned a single page for ages. In your mind, memories of this parallel world's entertainment industry surged forth. This world's entertainment industry was grotesquely distorted. Capital monopolized everything. Popularity was king. Only shallow pop songs and catchy earworms could become hits. Works with real depth and skill were suppressed instead. Someone like Yurou, who insisted on writing and performing her own music rather than selling out, naturally became a thorn in capital's side. The sobbing upstairs gradually stopped. After a long while, a soft, halting hum drifted down from the balcony. There was no accompaniment. Only the gentle breeze after the rain accompanied her voice. It was Yurou's breakout song in this world. Glazed Glass, a Chinese-inspired ancient-style ballad considered one of this world's finer songs. But to your ears, though the melody was beautiful, it felt overly polished and contrived. More importantly, it was far too bitter. When she reached the high notes, Yurou's voice cracked. It was not a technical issue. Her emotions had completely fallen apart. The singing came to an abrupt stop, replaced by wrenching, stifled sobs. You closed the book, stood, and went to the desk in your study. You spread out a fresh sheet of stationery, picked up that priceless Mont Blanc fountain pen, and began writing in bold, sweeping strokes. After writing the final note, you blew gently on the wet ink. Then you left the study carrying that thin sheet of paper. It was already late at night. Yurou had coaxed Yumo to sleep. She sat alone, dazed in a dim corner of the living room. A bank card lay before her. It held all her remaining savings. When she saw you come downstairs, she hurriedly wiped her eyes and stood. Sorry, did I wake you? I'll go back to my room right away. You walked over, without offering any comforting words. For Yurou right now, empty comfort meant nothing. Casually, you took the sheet covered in lyrics and music, and slapped it onto the coffee table before Yurou. If you think it works, go sing it. If you do not, use it to prop up a wobbly table leg. After saying that, you did not even glance at Yurou. You turned and walked away. At the foot of the stairs, you stopped, with your back to Yurou. Your voice rang especially clear through the night. Oh, and stop crying like that. My daughter, her mother has to be a queen, not a crying, downtrodden doormat. Yurou stood frozen. She watched your back disappear up the stairs, then lowered her eyes to the paper on the table. After a moment, she hesitantly picked it up. By the faint light of the desk lamp, she began to sing softly. You are the road stretching far ahead. The lamp in the thick mist over the hills. I am a child, walking beneath your gaze. You are the bright moon and gentle breeze. I am the dream you watch over. Whether we meet or not, I will hold you close for life. And I will love the world you love. And wish for the smile you dream of. I stumble along, holding your hand. Please lead me into tomorrow. If you endured hardship so I could know sweetness, then I will live as your wish. May it not be in vain. May we press on through every day of this flourishing age. When the song ended, Yurou's pupils abruptly widened. She looked as though struck by lightning. Goosebumps erupted across her body. As a top diva, her musical judgment was second to none. That melodic progression, that imagery in the lyrics, it surpassed every hit song on the market. Outside the window, the rain had stopped. A ray of moonlight pierced the clouds and fell on the paper in Yurou's hand. In the paper's lower right corner was a signature in wild cursive. Morning light filtered through the dappled trees of Wutong Lane, spilling across the old wooden floor. The air carried the distinctive scent of rain-soaked earth, mingled with the fragrance of unknown wildflowers. Yurou had not slept all night. She remained in that rigid posture, sitting on the old sofa in the living room, clutching that thin sheet of stationery tightly. Its edges were faintly wrinkled from the sweat on her palms. You are the road stretching far ahead. The lamp in the mountain mist. Yurou silently repeated the lyrics to herself. Her eyes stung again. Was this not exactly her situation? Searching for a way out through endless fog. For Yumo, she had to become that guiding light. A door opened upstairs, interrupting her thoughts. You came downstairs, your face still carrying the sleepy languor of someone not fully awake. You glanced at Yurou, still sitting on the sofa, like a statue. Your brow lifted slightly. What? Think the song is no good? Then throw it in the trash. I'll give you another one. Something like Learn to Meow, perhaps. That should suit today's market better. As you spoke, you headed straight into the kitchen. Soon, the sound of rice being washed came from the kitchen. Yurou sprang to her feet. She moved so quickly she nearly knocked over the coffee table. She hurried to the kitchen doorway, watching you skillfully slice a salted duck egg. Her voice trembled with excitement. This song, did you really write it? Without looking back, your cleaver flashed in your hand, cutting the salted duck egg into 6 perfect pieces. Isn't there a signature? A netizen named C wrote it. I'm just the middleman. Why are you interrogating me? Yurou would not let it go. Where is he? Who is he? I want to meet him. The arrangement is incredibly sophisticated. The lyrics and melody fit together perfectly. No ordinary online user could have written this. Even a songwriting legend like Feng could never write something like this. You turned around and looked at her calmly. Superstar Lin, get your facts straight. You currently owe me 100 million in medical fees, plus rent and utilities. This song is for you to earn money and repay your debt. As for who the writer is, or where he is. That's none of your business. You only need to tell me. Can this song make money? Can it revive your nearly bankrupt studio? Yurou was left speechless. She looked at you before her. You wore the plainest clothes, lived in the oldest courtyard, and even agonized over whether to have congee for breakfast or noodles. Yet, when you spoke of this work that could shake the music world, your casual indifference, that enormous contrast, filled her with an inexplicable sense of absurdity and awe. Yurou took a deep breath, clutching the paper in her hand. It can. If this song gets released, I am confident I can fight my way back onto the charts. But then, her gaze dimmed. But I have been blacklisted across the entire internet. Star Emperor Entertainment has spoken to every recording studio and distribution platform. They have all been warned. No one dares take my business, and no one dares release my songs. No matter how good the song is, if it cannot be released, it is just waste paper. You gave a scornful laugh. A blacklist imposed by Capital only works on the weak. When your talent is enough to shatter the ceiling, Capital will only be like sharks that smell blood, swimming over to grovel at your feet. Then you ladle the bowl of congee and handed it to Yurou. Eat first. You need a full stomach to fight. As for the studio and distribution, we will cross that bridge when we come to it. Maybe some recording studio owner might be crazy enough today and dare to take your job. Yurou accepted the congee. The warmth in her palm seeped into her body, chilled to the bone by the long night. At last, she felt a trace of warmth. Just then, quick footsteps pattered down the stairs. Mommy, Daddy, Yumo, wearing pink bunny pajamas, came running down while rubbing her sleepy eyes. The little one's fever had completely broken, and her cheeks were rosy. The moment she saw you, her eyes lit up like black grapes. Before this, she had never called anyone daddy, but perhaps it was the magical pull of blood, or perhaps that warm embrace the other night, that made her instinctively depend on you. Oh, my little treasure. You put down the dishcloth in your hand and strode over. In one swift motion, you scooped Yumo into your arms, lifted her high, and spun her around. Ha ha, Daddy, fly me high. Hee hee hee. Yumo let out a bell-like laugh, so bright it could wash away every shadow. Yurou watched the scene, her eyes growing moist. For 4 years, she had taken Yumo from place to place, always hiding, and the child had never laughed so freely as she did today. That fatherly presence she had always lacked had, in this moment, been perfectly filled by you. You placed Yumo on a high stool, frowning at the little girl's messy hair. Wait, Daddy will show you what he can do. You pulled a comb from beneath the coffee table, along with several colorful hair ties from who knew where. Yurou was about to say, "Let me do it," but the sight before her stunned her. Those large hands of yours, which had just held the cleaver, perhaps even contracts worth hundreds of billions, were now moving with extreme clumsiness, yet infinite tenderness, through Yumo's soft, fine hair. This bit on the left. Wrap it around. No, the right side. You muttered to yourself, with a fine layer of sweat even beading on your forehead. This made you more nervous than when you once sat at the financial negotiation table involving $30 billion. Yumo sat obediently, letting you fuss with her hair, still clutching half a salted duck egg, her mouth shiny with oil as she gnawed on it. 10 minutes later, a crooked, but barely recognizable pair of pigtails had come to life. Perfect. You looked at your masterpiece and nodded in satisfaction. The sense of accomplishment came straight from your heart. It was more artistic than a Picasso. Yurou could not help bursting into laughter. It was her first genuine laugh in half a month. What are you laughing at? You shot her an annoyed look, then pulled a bank card from your pocket and tossed it onto the table. There is some money on this card. Not much. A few 100,000, maybe. The password is your daughter's birthday. Oh no, it is 6/8. You said casually. Use it to rent a recording studio. Do not go to the big companies. Find one of those old studios tucked away in an alley. The equipment may be old, but no one will be watching. Yurou froze. She looked at the card, then at you. For an ordinary person, a few 100,000 might be his entire life savings. I cannot take this. Consider it a loan. You cut her off, your gaze turning serious. I do not make losing deals. If this song becomes a hit, I get a cut, 50%. Under normal circumstances, that kind of split would be outright robbery. But to Yurou now, it was more reassuring than any charity, because it represented an equal transaction, not charity. All right. Yurou put away the card, her eyes resolute. If we lose money, I will sell my blood if I have to. But I will repay you. No need to sell your blood. You picked up your bowl again, and noisily gulped down a mouthful of kanji. Then you said through the mouthful, "If you ruin your voice from singing, that would be the greatest loss. And one more thing. Once you finish eating, get going. Do not interrupt Yumo and me while we watch cartoons." Yurou watched the tall and small figures, both bent over their kanji, and an unprecedented strength surged within her. For Yumo, for this family, and for this weighty sheet of waste paper. This battle, she had to win. After Yurou hurried away, the warmth inside the house vanished instantly. You set down your bowl, picked up that old Nokia again, and walked beneath the plane tree in the courtyard. The call connected. Old Chen. "Yes, boss. What are your orders?" "Look into something. Is there an old recording studio called Shengling in Jiangsheng's North District? The owner is surnamed Zhou. He used to be Star Emperor's chief sound engineer. Later, he offended Zhao Tianba and had one of his legs broken. Now he is hiding there, running a tiny workshop." "Yes, boss. It is in Shizan Alley, in the old district." "Good." Your voice was so calm, not a ripple of emotion could be heard. "Call that Zhou fellow. Tell him, no matter who comes to record today, even if God himself tries to stop him, he keeps those doors open for me. And also, throw out that junk equipment of his. Replace it with a Neve 88RS console. For the microphone, I want the original U47 from the Naples Museum. I do not care how you do it, air freight it, or teleport it, but within 1 hour. I want that equipment installed in that dump of a studio." Old Chen fell silent for 2 seconds. He seemed to be processing the outrageous request. Then he quickly replied, "Understood. Also, boss, about Star Emperor Entertainment. No rush." You looked up at the vivid blue sky washed clean by rain. A cold curve formed at your lips. "Let them run wild for a few more days. Once Yurou finishes recording her song, I will show them what it means to be crushed by capital. Anyone I choose to make a star in this world. No one can stop me." Shizan Alley, Old Town, North District, Jiangsheng. The streets here were narrow and crowded. The walls were plastered with ads for fake certificates and engraved seals. The air reeked of fried stinky tofu and cheap cigarettes. Yurou wore a mask and sunglasses. With her cap pulled low, she clutched the document envelope tightly to her chest, her fingertips nearly digging into it. Following the address she remembered, Yurou stopped at a basement entrance bearing the sign of Shengli Music Shop, and stopped at its entrance. The sign was weathered, with half its paint peeled away. Thick dust coated the door. It was clearly long neglected. This had once been a gathering place for struggling underground singers, and in all of Jiangsheng now, the only place that might dare take her job. That was because its owner, Old Zhou, was notorious for being foul-tempered and stubborn. More importantly, he and Star Emperor Entertainment were sworn enemies. Yurou gently pushed open the door. A wave of mildew and heavy tobacco smoke hit her. It made her frown instinctively. Inside the dim basement, the light was poor. She could barely make out the furnishings in the corners. A middle-aged man with graying hair and unkempt stubble was slumped on a battered sofa, smoking. A crutch rested beside his left leg. He looked lazy and defeated. "We are closed. No customers." Old Zhou did not even look up. He slowly blew out a ring of smoke. The smoke curled through the dim light, obscuring his expression. Yurou removed her mask, revealing a face touched by exhaustion, yet still breathtakingly beautiful. Her voice carried a barely perceptible tension. "Mr. Zhou, it is me, Yurou." Old Zhou's hand suddenly trembled. He slowly raised his head. In his clouded eyes, a flash of startled surprise appeared first, only to be replaced at once by deep mockery. Well, is that not the great Diva? What is this? Star Emperor's recording studios worth tens of millions cannot accommodate someone as grand as you. So you came crawling into my doghouse? Yurou did not get angry. She knew Old Zhou's temperament too well, and she knew Zhao Tianba had broken his leg years ago. Behind that mockery lay resentment and helplessness few people knew. Yurou got straight to the point, looking at him with steady resolve. "Mr. Zhou, I want to record a song. Only you can help me." "Record a song?" Old Zhou gave a cold laugh. Leaning on his crutch, he slowly got to his feet. His left leg was slightly stiff. "You are a public pariah now. Anyone who records for you is defying Zhao Tianba. I am not afraid of that bastard. But this dump still has to stay open so I can make a living. Besides, do you even have a song left to sing?" Yurou did not argue. She simply took the sheet from the envelope against her chest. Then she held it out to him. "If, after reading this song, you still refuse to record it, I will leave immediately." Old Zhou took the paper carelessly, still muttering complaints under his breath. What kind of lousy song needs all this mystery? As you wish. What a corny title. His indifferent gaze fell on the first line of sheet music. In just 3 seconds, Old Zhou's flippant expression froze. His eyes widened wider and wider. His breathing grew increasingly rapid, his chest heaving violently. As a former top sound engineer, his sensitivity to melody and lyrics was ingrained in his bones. One look told him this work was extraordinary. Old Zhou drew a deep breath, then seized Lin Yurou's wrist. His grip was shockingly strong. His voice was urgent and solemn. Record it now. If this song gets buried, heaven itself should be struck by lightning. I do not want the money. For this song to be recorded in my shabby studio is more luck than I ever deserved. Saying that, he was about to charge into the inner recording room on his crutch, but after 2 steps, he suddenly stopped and slapped his thigh hard. Damn it, my microphone broke last week. I have not had time to fix it. The recording quality now does not deserve this song. Just then, several men in black suits and white gloves appeared like ghosts at the basement entrance. They shattered the room's fevered atmosphere. Lin Yurou and Old Zhou both jumped. They were instantly on guard. The man in black at the front was expressionless. He did not even spare them a second glance, merely stepping aside. Behind him, 2 workers carried in a massive metal case. The case was heavy, making a soft thud as it touched the floor. Mr. Zhou, this equipment was ordered by someone and designated for delivery here. Having said that, the man in black stood aside without another word. The workers swiftly began unpacking the case. As layer after layer of foam packaging was removed, a vintage-styled microphone with a cold metallic sheen gradually came into view. Old Zhou stared in utter disbelief. His face was filled with shock. A first-year Newman U-47. There are fewer than 5 of these in the entire world. Even national recording studios might not have one. Who sent this? The man in black did not answer. He only turned and walked over to Lin Yurou, handing her a note. Then he silently left with the workers, as mysteriously as they had come. Lin Yurou accepted the note. It bore only one line in familiar, wildly cursive handwriting. To do good work, you need good tools. Do not try to save me money. Sing your heart out. There was no signature, and no needless words, but Lin Yurou recognized it at once. Tears instantly welled from her eyes, sliding down her cheeks, and falling onto the note, blurring the ink into pale smudges. He had arranged everything long ago. He claimed he did not care. He claimed it was only to settle a debt. Yet behind her back, he had quietly cleared every path for her. He had even found this legendary equipment. Girl, looks like you have a powerful benefactor. Old Zhou looked at the microphone, then at Lin Yurou's reddened eyes and moved expression. At once, he understood. He said no more, and their exhilarating recording session began. At the same time, in downtown Jiangsheng, at the top of a skyscraper soaring into the clouds, stood the headquarters of the Chu group in this world. It was also your true throne, though you were curled up in the rundown courtyard on Wutong Alley, watching SpongeBob SquarePants with your daughter, Yumo. Your will was being carried out here with flawless precision, before a massive holographic screen. Old Chen calmly directed. Dozens of elite traders and hackers. Only the crisp clatter of keyboards filled the hall. The atmosphere was tense and solemn. The boss's orders were clear. Not an acquisition. Infiltration. First, take control of the back-end recommendation algorithms on every major music platform. At 8 tonight, no matter what users search for, the top recommendation must be Miss Lin Yurou's new song. Second, launch the Silent One's paid troll purge. The 2 million hate accounts Zhao Tianba bought are all to be banned within an hour. Third, and most importantly, the boss said, all proceeds from this song go into Miss Lin Yumo's growth fund account. Not 1 cent may be missing. There can be no mistakes. Old Chen's voice carried unquestionable authority. Tonight, we will teach the entire entertainment industry a vivid lesson. The lesson is called, What Happens When You Mess with the Richest Man's Woman? 7:55 p.m. In the basement of Soundwave Studio, the air was thick enough to cut. Old Zhou's hands had worked countless elite mixing boards. They had been steady his entire life. Yet now they were faintly damp with sweat. He stared fixedly at the upload bar on screen, his gaze focused and tense. Do we really not need promotion? Lin Yurou sat in an old swivel chair nearby, her hands twisted tightly together. There was unease and apprehension in her voice. By industry practice, a new song needs at least a week of build-up before release. Paid press placements, trending topic exposure, hyped reviews from music critics, and fans steering the comment section. But this time, she had none of it. Star Emperor Entertainment had already declared they would cut off all her resources. Right now, she was like a mute abandoned on a deserted island. Even if she screamed herself hoarse, no one might hear her. No need. It was not old Zhou who answered her, but you, who had somehow strolled over to the basement door. Your left hand held Yumo's hand as she licked a lollipop, while your right carried a bag of freshly bought candy chestnuts. A good song is like gold. Even tossed into mud, it will shine. Besides, the tide is almost absurdly in our favor tonight. A crisp notification sounded, and a pop-up appeared on the screen. Upload successful. Title as you wish. Singer, Lin Yurou. Lyrics and music, C. At the same time, in Jingju, thousands of kilometers away, at Penguin Music's headquarters, Zhao Li from operations was about to slack off and order takeout. His fingertip had just touched his phone screen, when suddenly, the data curve on the massive monitor made a bizarre, vertical spike. The surge was staggering. What the hell? The server has gone haywire. Zhao Li nearly sprayed out his cola, his face full of disbelief. In the backend's live traffic pool, traffic that should have been spread across top idols' mind-numbing viral hits, suddenly seemed seized by an invisible hand, forcibly redirected, and all converged on a link uploaded less than 1 minute earlier. In a college dorm, a student searching for English listening practice for his graduate entrance exam suddenly heard an ethereal, haunting intro through his headphones, breaking his study rhythm. In an office building, a white-collar worker staying late into the night, meant to search for soothing music to help with insomnia, but found a song called As You Wish instead. Supervisor, supervisor, something terrible has happened. The algorithm core appears to be under a hacker attack. Zhao Li screamed in terror, his voice filled with panic. The technical supervisor rushed over in a frenzy, his fingers hammering wildly across the keyboard. His expression shifted from confusion to shock, then turned white as paper. He could only collapse helplessly into his chair, muttering to himself, "It is not hackers. It is a divine decree. This is not a hacker attack. It is the brutal beauty of capital, an absolute force no one can stop." Meanwhile, in Soundwave Studios' basement, you sat on that battered old sofa, watching Lin Yurou anxiously refresh the page on her phone. Your gaze remained calm and still. It has been a minute, only 3 listens, and those were all ours. Lin Yurou gave a bitter smile and shook her head, her voice full of disappointment. Looks like the miracle did not happen. Before she could finish speaking, her eyes suddenly went wide, and shock instantly replaced the disappointment on her face. On the refreshed page, the listen count leaped from 3 to 30,000. In the blink of an eye, the number surged again, reaching 300,000. The comment section, once showing no comments, was instantly flooded, showing 999 plus. How is this possible? This was not merely forced traffic. It was a nuclear blast unleashed by the song's own quality. Meanwhile, in the president's office at Star Emperor Entertainment, Zhao Tianba held a glass of expensive red wine, gazing smugly at the city lights outside. A triumphant smile played on his lips. Tonight, he had spent heavily promoting his company's new girl group. He meant to strike while Lin Yurou was down, replace her completely, and monopolize the music industry's traffic. President Zhao. President Zhao. Something is wrong. The secretary forgot to knock. Stumbling into the office, she had even lost one of her high heels. Her face was full of panic. What are you panicking about? Has the sky fallen? Zhao Tianba frowned, taking an irritated sip of red wine. His tone carried the arrogance and impatience of a man in power. Lin Yurou. The secretary held up her tablet, her hands shaking as if she had Parkinson's. Her voice came out in broken fragments. She released a new song. So, what if she did? Zhao Tianba scoffed dismissively, his face full of contempt. I have already made the arrangements. Who in this industry would dare promote her song? It probably will not make even a ripple. He impatiently took the tablet, his gaze falling carelessly on the screen. The next second, his face changed abruptly. He sprayed a mouthful of red wine across the expensive tablet screen. How is this possible? Zhao Tianba shot to his feet, but moved too violently, slamming his knee hard into the desk corner. The pain made him grimace, but he had no time to rub it. His eyes were filled with madness and disbelief. Has Penguin Music gone insane? Has NetEase Cloud Music gone insane? Are they not afraid of offending Star Emperor? He grabbed the phone from his desk, roaring as he called the heads of every major music platform. His tone burned with rage. Hello, President Wang. What is going on over there? Did we not agree to blacklist Lin Yurou? Beep beep beep. Only a cold busy signal answered him. No one answered. Or rather, no one dared to. Zhao Yamba's face turned livid. He made more than a dozen calls in a row. Finally, the head of a small platform answered. The voice on the line was very low, but his fear was impossible to hide. Old Zhao, do not ask. This is not something we chose to promote. It came from above. Above who? The Cultural Affairs Bureau. Zhao Tianba pressed him through gritted teeth. Higher than that. The caller's voice was trembling. Just now, I received word that several major Wall Street investors put direct pressure on all the major platforms. This song, whoever dares take it down, will see their stock price cut in half tomorrow. Old Zhao, look after yourself. There is a real god backing Lin Yurou. The call ended abruptly, leaving only the busy tone ringing in his ear. Zhao Tianba slumped back into his executive chair. A real god. That woman, with a brat in tow, reduced to living in the slums. What god could possibly be backing her? If she really had one, how could she have spent the past 4 years living like a dog at his mercy? A flash of frenzied malice crossed Zhao Tianba's eyes. In this little corner of the entertainment world, I, Zhao Tianba, am the god here. He suddenly turned to the secretary trembling beside him and roared through gritted teeth. Go. Contact Black Fox Studio. Dig it up for me. Dig up every bit of dirt on Lin Yurou, especially that bastard. I want the whole internet to know. This song was sung by a shameless slut. Let us see how she comes back from that. In the little courtyard on Wutong Lane, the moonlight after the rain was especially gentle. It spilled across the blue stone path, casting a faint glow. The air was fragrant with damp earth and fresh grass. Lin Yurou sat on a stone bench in the courtyard, watching the listens and comments on her phone soar. She seemed dazed, as if walking through a dream. It really is number one, she murmured. Her eyes were vacant, yet held a glimmer of light. You sat on a little stool, patiently teaching Yumo how to peel a chestnut without breaking it. Hearing Lin Yurou, you did not even look up. You merely said calmly. That only proves listeners still have working ears. Thank you. Lin Yurou turned around. Seeing the warm scene of you and the child, she could no longer contain the feelings buried in her heart. Her tears fell like beads from a broken string. In those tears, there was no wild joy at returning to the top. There was only that long-lost security of knowing someone had her back. Warm and powerful. Do not thank me. You placed a perfectly peeled chestnut into Yumo's mouth, then slowly rose and walked over to Lin Yurou. You reached out, gently smoothing a loose strand of hair by her temple. The gesture was natural and tender. Your gaze was calm, yet deep. If you want to thank someone, thank yourself. You sang it beautifully. And besides, we are only getting started. Superstar Lin, get ready. Tonight is only the beginning. Tomorrow, all those monsters will start to panic. Are you afraid? Lin Yurou looked into your eyes, which seemed able to weather any storm. She drew a deep breath, pushing down her vulnerability. Her eyes gradually turned resolute and strong. I am not afraid. The next morning, the bright sunlight was almost dazzling. But in the internet's dark corners, a carefully planned dark storm was quietly brewing, as Wish still held the top spot on every major chart. Its streams had already surpassed an astonishing 500 million. Everywhere, from shopping malls to barbershops, this healing hit song played on repeat. However, on social media's trending list, several glaring red and purple hashtags were climbing at an abnormal speed. Lin Yurou's illegitimate daughter exposed. The pure diva image has collapsed. The dirty deal behind his wish. Mystery tycoon keeps faded actress as his mistress. Opening the hashtags revealed nothing but blurry candid photographs, paired with highly inflammatory captions. The tide in the comments turned instantly. Those who had called her a goddess last night were now whipped into a frenzy by paid trolls, and vicious curses erupted one after another. Inside the small courtyard, Lin Yurou's hand shook violently around her phone. Her face was white as paper. You knew that what she feared most had happened. She might endure attacks against herself, but attacks against Yumo. You reached out, snatched the phone from her hand, and calmly tossed it into the farthest corner of the sofa. Do not look, eat, but, Lin Yurou choked up. They are insulting Yumo. They are calling her a bastard. Zhao Tianba's people are already doxing this address online. I said eat. Your voice was not loud, but it carried an unquestionable authority. Then you unhurriedly sat at the head of the table and placed a piece of egg in Yumo's bowl. Yumo, do you want to go to the amusement park today? Your voice instantly softened. And you seem like a completely different person. Yumo waved her little spoon, answering in her sweet childish voice. I want to ride the carousel. Daddy will take you after breakfast. Yurou became frantic. Feng, have you lost your mind? The place is crawling with paparazzi outside. The moment we leave, they will swarm us. Do you know how serious this is? You raised your eyelids and glanced at her. There was not the slightest panic in your eyes, only the cold indifference of a spectator. Serious. They are just a few buzzing flies. And you call that serious? You took out that old Nokia and lightly spun it on the table. Yurou, remember one thing. When you stand at the mountaintop, the mud beneath your feet cannot splash onto you. The only reason it feels dirty now is because you have not climbed high enough yet. The moment you finished speaking, a burst of commotion came from beyond the courtyard wall. This is the place. The location says it is right here. Hurry, climb up. That bastard must be in the courtyard. Get a shot, and it is front page news. President Zhao said. One clear face shot is worth 100,000 yuan. Several men carrying cameras climbed ladders, trying to scale the wall covered in ivy. Their lenses greedily poked through, aimed at the three of you at the dining table. Yumo flinched in fright. Her little spoon fell to the floor, and she burst into tears. Bad people scare me. Yurou's face changed abruptly. Instinctively, she rushed over to shield her child. Do not film her. You are trespassing on private property. Get out. Your eyes slowly turned cold. You raised a hand and picked up an ordinary bamboo chopstick from the table. Whoosh! It tore through the air. No one saw how you made your move. Only a blur streaked through the air and struck the camera lens of the loudest shouting paparazzo. In his hands. With a bang, the telephoto lens worth tens of thousands of yuan shattered instantly. Glass fragments flew everywhere. My eyes. The paparazzo screamed, clutched his face, and fell from the wall. With a boom, you shoved open the courtyard gate. There were no bodyguards around you. Only you. Yet the aura you radiated left these normally arrogant paparazzi gasping for breath. Their legs turned weak on their own. Who just said one photo was worth 100,000? You walked up to the paparazzo sprawled on the ground, looking down at him. You dared to assault me. I am calling the police. I will expose you. You are finished. You're that bastard's father, right? Just wait for prison. Clutching his face, the paparazzo shouted, putting on a brave front. The corner of your mouth curled up. You crouched and unlocked your phone, then held it before him on speakerphone. A cold, mechanical voice came through the phone. It was the voice of the enforcer of the media empire you secretly controlled. The world's largest media conglomerate. Huan Yunu's legal director. Facial recognition has confirmed. There are 5 individuals causing trouble at the scene. Evidence of all their illegal acts has been compiled and sent to the Jiangsheng Public Security Bureau and Tax Bureau. All their bank accounts have been frozen. You watched the paparazzo's face turn deathly pale. Your tone was as gentle as if greeting an old friend. Did you hear that? That is the power of a bastard's father. The police will be here in 3 minutes. Before then, you have 2 choices. First, crawl inside on your knees and apologize to my daughter. Wipe every tear from the ground. Second, take your pathetic studio and disappear from this world along with Zhao Tianba. The paparazzo completely broke down. His phone had been vibrating wildly. Bank alerts said his accounts were frozen. His wife called, sobbing that their home had been seized. His studio boss went mad in the group chat, saying they had been blacklisted everywhere. Everything had collapsed in an instant. I choose the first. Brother. No. Grandpa. I was wrong. I failed to recognize greatness when I saw it. Before Yurou's stunned eyes, those paparazzi who had been so arrogant moments ago now looked like dogs with broken spines. They scrambled and crawled into the courtyard. They knelt before the still sniffling Yumo. We are sorry, little princess. We are animals. We are bad people. Please do not cry. Yumo stopped crying. She blinked her big, tearful eyes at you in confusion. Daddy, what are they doing? You walked over and picked up your daughter, gently wiping the tear streaks from her face. They are putting on a show. It's called The Mangy Dog's Redemption. You said it with a smile, then turned to Yurou. At that moment, Yurou watched this absurd yet satisfying scene unfold. Then at you, holding your child, wielding thunderous power with effortless calm. Suddenly, she understood. From today onward, even if the sky fell, someone would hold it up for her. All right, the show is over. You waved a hand, as if shooing flies away. Get lost. Turn yourselves in. Remember, if you see this gate again, Take another route. Otherwise, next time it will not be your lens that shatters. The paparazzi felt as though they had been pardoned. They scrambled away from the scene. You shut the courtyard gate, and the world was quiet once more. You turned to look at Yurou. Your voice returned to its usual lazy drawl. So, did we finish those eggs from earlier? They will not taste good once they are cold. Yurou burst out laughing. But as she laughed, her eyes reddened again. She rushed over and threw her arms around you and Yumo, heedless of everything else. Thank you. Your body stiffened for a moment, then relaxed. You gently patted her back with one hand, already touched. Then you leaned close and whispered in her ear. The real show is just beginning. Since Zhao loves playing the public opinion game, I will give him a grand gift. Since he runs an entertainment company, I will buy the entire entertainment industry and give it to you as your playground. Yurou stared at you, as though she were looking at a complete stranger. If his wish had once shown her your talent, then what happened today let her glimpse the tip of the iceberg of your unfathomable power. Who are you, really? At last, she voiced the question that had haunted her countless times. A landlord, a doctor, a master songwriter and composer, or the boss they all spoke of. You dusted off your pant leg, then stood. Your relaxed, easygoing manner returned. You walked up to her and met her eyes, full of curiosity and unease. Does it really matter who I am? You reached out and gently pinched Yumo's chubby little cheek. To Yumo, I am her dad. To you, I am your creditor. Are those two roles not enough? Yurou bit her lip. But, those lawyers, and the way you handle this. If you are someone important, why do you live here? Why would you? Because I am tired. You stretched lazily, cutting off her questions. You turned to gaze at the old but lively little courtyard. A trace of genuine exhaustion showed in your eyes. Memories of Earth from your previous life, plus the years of ruthless business battles after you transmigrated, had truly worn you out. You had earned more money than several lifetimes could spend, and held power enough to shake the world. Yet you discovered what you wanted most was only a bowl of hot noodle soup and a peaceful sleep free of schemes. Not until you met Yurou and her daughter did that peace finally take a tangible form. As for your methods, your gaze suddenly sharpened, like a blade drawn from its sheath. Yurou, you need to understand, in this dog-eat-dog world, to protect even this small measure of peace, you must wield the blade 10 times deadlier. I do not want to be some big shot, and I do not want to be a savior, but anyone under my protection. No one touches them. Those final 4 words were spoken softly, yet they struck Yurou's heart like a sledgehammer. She looked at your broad, solid back, and her eyes suddenly burned with tears. For 4 years, she had been a lone bird flying through the storm, ever watchful for hunters' guns and traps. But now, at last, someone was telling her, come down. There is a tree here, a nest, and a hunter standing guard. All right, stop spacing out. You turned around, your tone turning playful again. To celebrate those flies getting caught, we are having an extra dish tonight. I want red braised pork ribs. Use extra sugar. Yurou laughed through her tears. She fiercely wiped her eyes. I will use so much sugar it makes you sick. Meanwhile, inside a luxurious villa in Jiangshang, Zhao was on the verge of collapse. What do you mean? You cannot find anything. Are you all useless? He grabbed an expensive bottle of Louis XIII and smashed it viciously against the wall. Shards flew everywhere, and red liquor flowed like blood. He watched helplessly as Xinhuang Entertainment lost $3 billion in market value. Worse still, Black Fox, the top paparazzi studio, had vanished without a trace. It had been crushed before it could even resist. Every clue pointed to Wutong Alley, to you, that seemingly ordinary young man. But he used every connection he had, even calling on friends from the underworld to investigate. The answer was only 2 words. Top secret. Your file was classified. The little courtyard's ownership records were classified. Even Yumo's birth certificate had been classified at the system's highest S-class level. President Zhao. The secretary stood trembling at the door, holding a fax that had just arrived. The tax bureau says it will thoroughly investigate those dual contracts from last year, and the investors who had already signed on have all just pulled their funding. The room spun around Zhao Tianba. He collapsed onto the sofa. An unprecedented terror engulfed him. At last, he realized he had not merely crossed someone powerful. He had slammed into a nuclear reactor. His opponent did not even need to appear. All they had to do was lift a finger to bring his entertainment empire crashing down. No, I have not lost yet. The mad desperation of a trapped beast flashed in Zhao Yamba's eyes. He had fought his way through the industry for years. What storm had he not weathered? Capital was frightening. But in this age where attention is king, as long as he still had cards to play, he still had a chance to turn things around. Yurou, you want to make a comeback. You want to clear your name with that song. He ground his teeth, his voice venomous. Contact the director of The Masked Singer. I do not care how much it costs. Secure the next challenger slot. Since someone is protecting you online, I will destroy your reputation on that stage. I will make you unable to sing before hundreds of millions of viewers, and make a complete fool of yourself. If I cannot play dirty, then I'll take you down in